All right, guys, welcome back to another episode on the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast. We have the one and only Dennis Yu. Dennis, how you doing, my man?
Pleasure, Eric and Chris. Good to connect, even if it's virtually.
Absolutely. I know. And it's like right when your face popped on, I was like, man, there's Dennis. I was like, I felt like I haven't seen you in a long time, but we've connected. Like we've met like 2-3 years ago at Mark Lack's event. And we've kept like a constant, like just, communication and built a relationship and all the cool stuff you're doing, man. So it's good to see that you're doing well.
Pleasure.
Yeah, right on. So Dennis, let's kick this podcast off. So we do what we like doing is called rapid dynamic questions. You ready for that?
Let's do it.
All right. So I'm not sure you said you're in Phoenix, Arizona. So is there billboards out there?
Just like any other place with freeways.
Okay. So let's say there's like the city of Phoenix, Arizona is like, I want to grant Dennis Yu a big billboard. What would that billboard say and why?
It would say joinffm.com to get certified as a digital marketer to be able to help local businesses that are struggling. Start your career now, even if you can't go back to school.
Nice.
I like it.
I like that. Dennis, what have you learned? Maybe one of the biggest takeaways the past 5 months with just everything going on.
What matters is people. And if you can't meet with them in person, you can meet with them online. The fact that the world has slowed down has caused us to rethink our relationships. So 5 days ago, my mom was diagnosed with late stage ovarian cancer.
Wow.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
And, things are looking kind of grim. She's 78 years old. And, the numbers are the numbers when you look at cancer. If you had a friend that's gone through that kind of stuff. But, the blessing is it's brought us closer together. Because otherwise I would have been on my busy schedule, flying around, going to conferences, doing all these business things. But then I would have forgotten. It would have been too late. And if my mom had passed away when it was, later, this thing is a wake-up call. And I think the coronavirus thing is a wake-up call where, at first it looks bad, but then you realize, wait, how much more connection have I had with my family and loved ones that otherwise we wouldn't have had because we were too busy? That's what I see.
Sure. I agree with you. And I keep saying that it's really reframed our minds and outlook, just how simple life really should be, the simplicity of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Finish the sentence. The world needs more of.
Love.
Okay.
We're in a love drought. Like there's not enough. And it causes the scarcity mentality causes people to panic and fear. And even though there are bad things that are happening with the economy, I believe the real crisis is in your own mind. And it's the things that people do to themselves that are worse than the coronavirus itself or any of the economic shutdowns.
Yep.
People are so mean. I was at the dog park yesterday and this woman was yelling at me because I didn't pick up the dog poop fast enough. And I thought, Karen, who gave you the right to judge everyone else out there? But then I thought, she's probably in fear and scared and she's got her own stress and it's not personal against me. She just needed someone to yell at, right? And you see a lot of people that are right on the verge of just breakdown and they're just barely getting by and they don't know how to ask for help. It's tough.
Yeah, it really is. What are 2 skills an entrepreneur should be focusing on these next 6 months?
Video and building courses, because video is how you're going to connect. This is not a temporary thing. And online courses, if you can't meet them in person, you can still train whatever you are selling, products or services. You could be a personal trainer. You could be a software company. You could be a retailer. You could be selling Italian food as an Italian restaurant. You still need to be able to engage people through not just showing that you're around, but showing your expertise. And when you show your expertise, that's when people connect with you. And that's when they buy from you.
Yep. 100% agree. What are 2 books every entrepreneur should be reading in the next 6 months?
Number 1 is Principles by Ray Dalio.
Love that one.
It's how to be logical and see around your blind spots. Most people, they don't even realize how much they don't know because of the same problems that keep occurring. It's called Dunning-Kruger, the Dunning-Kruger effect. If you're not in the club, you're in it. Go check it out. It'll change your life. Number 2, Snow Crash by Neil Stephenson. I read a lot. I've read 4,500 books. This is in my top 5. And I think it's important now because we're seeing what the future of technology is. And when you read science fiction, the right science fiction, it gives you a view into the world 10 years, 15 years from now, and it helps you think about things. Science fiction writers are not good entrepreneurs because they're too far ahead. Entrepreneurs are people who think only 5 years ahead or 10 years ahead. Maybe number 3, I'd add infinite retina, which is on what's the future of Apple and what does it hold for AR, VR, and these blended experiences. Apple is about to launch something that is going to crush the world. This is going to be bigger than the iPhone in a year from now. They've been waiting. They've invested billions. They have more cash than any other company on the planet. Infinite Retina by Robert Scoble is talking about Apple's plans.
Wow. I'm about to write that one
check
out.
that one out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dennis, what is your secret ninja tip to own and manage your time?
I practice something called do, delegate, delete, which is everything that comes into my inbox. Well, first I have one inbox, and then I do it, delegate it, or delete it. I get over 1,000 messages a day, and I'm able to process them all, not because I have automation, not because I have a bunch of virtual assistants, but I'm very quick at getting stuff done. And I know that when I'm able to delegate out to other people, there's a lot of work that I don't have to do myself. And if anyone who's overwhelmed, it's because they don't have enough priority to focus on what's important, and because they're trying to do everything by themselves and they don't have a team. But if you're not making enough money, you can't pay for a team to be able to do the work. So then you're in a catch-22, and then you're back to trying to do everything yourself and being caught in repetitive behavior. If you look at your time, Eric and Chris and anyone else listening, how much of your time is spent doing things that are repetitive?
I would
What
say
percent?
quite a bit. Yeah.
Quite a bit.
A lot.
Yep.
Right? Well, what if you could automate that? What if you could have someone else do it? What if you could hire a virtual assistant? What if you could systematize it? Well, if you hire someone else to do it, you need to create a checklist that they can follow. You need to train them. So are you documenting what you're doing? If not, you can't delegate it.
Yep. And I'll tell you what, Dennis, like, man, we were so stubborn when we first started getting into this to where we wanted to wear all the hats, do everything. And then finally, right now we have 2 virtual assistants, and I'm willing to even pay more, because
It's E-Myth. Michael Gerber, work on your business instead of just in your business.
Yep.
Common problem.
Exactly. I like that though. 3 Ds.
Yeah. I think it was you, Chris. You were the more stubborn one.
Yeah, definitely.
Dennis, what's one of your biggest worries right now? If you have
I'm
any.
worried that there's not enough time to get everything done that I want. And everything that I've learned how to do, every idea I have spawns another 3 ideas. So the more I get done, the further behind I get. So we all feel that way at a certain point.
Yeah. And really quick, are you familiar with Seth Godin?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So we
I
interviewed
worked with him together at Yahoo 20 years ago.
Yeah,
Nice.
we had the pleasure of interviewing him earlier this week, and that was one of the things he said too, is just not enough time, because he still feels every day that he hasn't gotten enough done, and it's just like, whew, crazy.
Yeah, 1% there. That's how far we are.
Yep.
Even Zuckerberg said he was only 1% there. So imagine what kind of plans he has.
Man. I'm still thinking about the Apple thing you told us.
Apple is one of those things where they don't tell you anything until they've actually done it. So don't think they haven't been doing anything. That would be misjudging them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. All right,
They're
Dennis.
not dumb.
Oh, no. All right, Dennis, to conclude this rapid questions, what's your favorite social media platform that you're utilizing these days the most?
LinkedIn.
Okay.
LinkedIn has crazy reach. I've had some posts that go to 2 million reach and 10,000, 20,000 comments. On average, I get 40 to 50,000 views per video. Facebook, I might only get 6,000 or 7,000. But more important than the quantity, the quality of the connections and doing business and networking, LinkedIn is a great place. My former boss at Yahoo was Jeff Weiner, who ran search and now is the CEO of LinkedIn. And he said, Facebook is where you go to waste time, and LinkedIn is where you go to invest time.
Okay.
It's good.
I like that. All right, Dennis, you are off the rapid dynamic question hot seat.
We can go as rapid as you want.
Oh, I know. We could go for days on this, but I want to dig deeper now. I want to learn more about your story. So you studied finance, economics at Southern Methodist University and London School of Economics. What interests you to study this, and how did you pivot into digital marketing?
Well, I have been an Asian that's good at math, the one you love to hate, that gets good grades and walks out. It has no friends. We're called paper tigers. I didn't speak English until I was 7. I speak English better than most people. And math and measurement and things that were very finite and definite were where I took comfort. Because things like English papers, who knows whether you like it or not. Art, who's to say whether it's good or not? And I love the idea of measuring what things cost. Why do airline pilots make more than teachers, right? Why is it that supply and demand works in a certain way. When should the government get involved in certain situations? And I thought it applied to everything, like relationships. I remember I was in an amusement park. I think I was 12. And we were at Knott's Berry Farm, if you remember where that is, in LA. And I was all about trying to make the most with my time, right? As much money as I can make. And there were two kids I was with in line. We were in, you know, these roller coaster lines. Sometimes you got to wait 2 hours. So there was a couple in front that was kissing. And one of my friends said, hey, Dennis, if you go up to the couple that's kissing and you ask them, how do you breathe while you're kissing? I'll give you $1. And I thought, and this is my math mind thinking, it'll take me probably 30 seconds to ask that question. They might get mad at me or whatever, but if in 30 seconds I'm making $1, that's $2 per minute. That's $120 per hour. Is that worth $120 per hour? Yeah. So I did it, right? And that has governed my thinking to apply math to everything. And I believe you can apply math to relationships. When I was at Yahoo, I ran the analytics for Yahoo Personals, which is a dating website. And ultimately, that's probably the most important transaction in your life you'll ever make. I mean, you could buy a house or a car, but when you're choosing a wife, that's the ultimate supply and demand, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you could buy and sell stuff on Craigslist. You could Amazon Prime stuff. You could watch a movie tonight on Netflix. Those are all mini transactions, right? But wouldn't you agree that the person you might marry or spend the rest of your time with or be your significant other is probably one of the most important decisions you'll ever make in your life?
Absolutely.
Yep.
But do you think people are smart about how they do it, or are they clouded emotionally because of how someone looks, because of something they heard, because of how their previous girlfriends were, which then caused them to behave a certain way and repeat the bad relationship, all sorts of things like that, right? So would we agree that there are mechanics in helping people make more logical decisions and being able to see where their blind spots are?
Yeah. 100%.
So I had all this data of all the search engine data, everything that people did, not just what they did on the Yahoo personal site, like what profiles they looked at and what they clicked on and what they put in their profile and their messages and how many times they searched. So I had that, but I had all their search behavior from Yahoo search. I had all their Yahoo mail. I had everything else that they were doing. I had their Yahoo sports. I had their stock picks. I had their horoscopes. I had all these things. Their dogs that are barking in the background. I even knew about that. And I triangulated to see how is it that people behave so irrationally. You ever wonder, like modern economics has mostly assumed that people behave logically, but isn't that a false assumption? Think about the decisions you make in your life. Some of them don't make any sense at all.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. I just had a Haagen-Dazs ice cream. It's delicious, and it satisfied my short-term desires, but I know that puts me further behind with other goals I have. But I did things, and just like heart surgeons that are smokers. Why do they do that? Doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
There's a lot of hypocrisy out there. And I'm not just talking about coaches and people like that, but I strove to understand why people do what they do. And I wandered from math into psychology. And when I made that cross is when I discovered that digital marketing is actually math and psychology. And it was fascinating for me. Right? I'll give you an example. So I came up with some pricing for AA.com, which is American Airlines. And I wanted to get people to book online. So I came up with the first time booking bonus. If you book on the website with the airline directly, we'll give you 5,000 miles, advantage miles going straight to your account. And the other executives argued with me. And they said, no, that's too many miles. And then I said, well, look at the math. If they book through a travel agent, do you guys remember the days of travel agents? Are you guys old enough to remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
A little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you used to have, like, now you can go online, but before you couldn't do that.
Yeah. They had
Before
like brick and mortar
was a
stores.
scary place. Yeah. Before, like, putting a credit card into the internet was scary.
Yeah.
You weren't sure what's going to happen, you know?
I remember now.
It's like a $5 hooker. You don't know what you're going to get. And so, you know, if you went to a travel agent, the airline would have to pay a 5% commission or $50 versus just giving them miles. Why not? Because then it creates more loyalty. They're more likely to book with us. And I found that it wasn't just logic that was necessary to get people to make business decisions like the consumers, but even internally getting my other peers at American or at Yahoo to make decisions. I had to finesse things. And the thing that drove me nuts as an Asian who's good at math is that I realized that most people's decisions were made based on non-logical factors, such as whether they liked the person or whether their buddy was friends with the other person. And the thing that basically broke me, destroyed me in a good way, and then built me back up, was when I graduated college and I wanted to work at Nike, because that was my dream. I was a D1 track and field athlete. I wanted to run. And in my teenager-ish head, I thought, well, if I worked at Nike, it's just a bunch of people that are athletes and are running around, not executives in conference rooms having meetings and things like that, right? Paperwork. I thought like it was, that's what I was thinking, is some kid. And so I did everything I thought that they would want. Like I have a championship ring from the Southwest Conference, right? D1 cross country. And I had really good grades, and I had recommendation letters, and I had all the things that would look good on paper, as a logical, rational person would want. And then I applied, and I couldn't even get an interview. All I got was a letter back from Shelly Bridges. I remember that was her name, and it burned me so bad, because when you get the thin envelope, that means that it's a rejection letter. When you get the fat envelope, that's when they want to talk to you, right? So I got the thin envelope, and it was we had so many people applying. We wish we could take everyone, but thank you so much and best of luck. You could try again next year. And it just crushed me, not because I didn't get accepted or even got an interview at all. It was because some of my peers who were fat and dumb and had bad grades and whatever got jobs at Nike doing marketing. And why are they better than me? Because daddy knows somebody. Mm-hmm. And that just burned me to no end, because no amount of grades or essays or achievements or books I read. Look at all these books. I actually read these books. Yeah. None of those things matter in my mind, because relationships trump everything. Yep. So then I thought, oh my goodness, I've just wasted the last 20 years of my life studying. I would study from morning till evening. I was one of those good Chinese boys, right? But now, if I merely just know so-and-so, why do I even need to know anything? And so that just made me feel like I committed suicide for 20 years. Like, have you ever had that where like you went after something and you worked so hard, and then you realize at the end, like, oh crap, the whole thing was a waste.
Yeah.
But then I realized, wait a minute. And I went to my mentor, who is the CEO of American Airlines, and he told me that your learning curve drives your earning curve. Yeah, and that all the time I've spent learning stuff would play out later. It'd be an investment that would help me out later, not right away. Just like going to college is an investment that doesn't pay off right away, but later it will come into play. It's just like, planting a seed for an oak tree versus, something that grows very fast, like basil or something, right? Mm-hmm. Bamboo. One thing takes 50 years and one thing takes 2 weeks to grow. And then as I started to build my network, I started a network when I was in my mid-20s. Kind of late for most people, because I started the first 20 years of my life learning how to speak English. I represented California in the National Spelling Bee in 1988 in Washington, D.C. Scripps Howard National Spelling Bee. I studied the dictionary 3 hours a day. I can spell almost any word that you throw at me. Now there's spell check, so whatever, doesn't even matter, right? But I learned that after I started a network and be able to make connections, that making connections and knowing so-and-so isn't enough, because you have to have enough knowledge to be able to add value to those relationships. And just because you can introduce so-and-so to so-and-so, which is great, that's what mega connectors do, you still have to have enough knowledge to be interesting and to understand who to connect how, and to be able to do things like plan and hire other people, which you can't do even if you have a great network. You still need to have a lot of knowledge. Yeah. So I realized the combination of knowledge plus network was key. And I happened to be lucky in a way, because I invested so much in knowledge that by the time I started to build relationships, the relationships were multiplied because of my knowledge. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have I was a total dorko. I was made fun of. I was bullied in high school. There's this one kid, Noah. I remember him. I was a paper boy, and he would come up to me while I was loading up my papers and trying to deliver them, and he would shove me and then have all my papers fall out on the sidewalk and laugh at me because I was some scrawny kid, because I was just trying to make some money, like I told you, doing a paper route, doing like whatever to make some money, because I thought that was cool, and put in a bank account and watch the numbers go up. I really liked that. And I didn't have any friends really. So I just studied more and more. And I kind of didn't want to. I ate all my meals alone because I thought these other people, they're just making fun of me. Why would I want to spend time with them? I don't watch TV because they're hanging out and they're talking about what happened on TV on Seinfeld last night. I don't even have a TV. I don't know who Seinfeld is. What is this thing? Why are people laughing at this thing? That's not even their life. Why are they talking about what those people are doing on TV? That's not even real. Those people, that's a movie set. That thing didn't even actually happen. And now they're talking about it.
Yep.
These people are wasting time. I'm just going to study. So that was my mindset. So that just reinforced me being a loner. And no one wants to feel that they're a loser. So I'm like, you know what? I'm better than you. I'm studying while you guys are getting drunk and doing dumb things with these girls. I'm improving myself, right? I'm working out. Now I'm a cross-country athlete. So I'm not just a bookworm and a good Chinese math guy. Now I'm an athlete. I can outrun you too, right? I can run that mile in 4 minutes and change. Not bad, right? Because I studied physiology. I applied my book learning way of learning things there. I applied it to digital marketing. And I saw how relationships and data are not oil and water. It's not left brain and right brain. They actually go hand in hand. And it's taken me 40 plus years to realize that, to come full circle and see that you have to have network and knowledge at the same time. And the combination of both makes you ultra powerful. Because most people are really good as technicians, as in they know how to do something like with a tool or to paint. And other people are really good with relationships and people.
Mm-hmm.
But how many people do you know that are good at, say, public speaking, and they're good at building websites, or they're good at accounting and they're also good at therapy with relationships?
Yeah.
How many people can do both?
Not very many.
What if you can do both? How much? That's more than doubly powerful.
More value.
And that's what digital marketing is. It's both. You know, reason people fail digital marketing is it's a blind man and the elephant thing, where they think it's just one thing. They think digital marketing is just these tools, or making videos, or Snapchat, or, you know, they have this one idea, this false. It's not that it's wrong, but it's that digital marketing is multifaceted. And you can't just come at it with, oh, I'm going to do ClickFunnels. Great. All right, great. You got a tool. Just like I go play golf. I have golf clubs, but I need to know how to swing too.
Yeah. And I'm glad that you actually are talking about this, because like you said, you know, people look at digital marketing like in a black and white fashion, to where, like you said, oh, it's just ClickFunnels. Oh, it's just Facebook ads, but it's so much more than that. It's skill stacking. It's like, it's networking. It is Facebook ads. It is ClickFunnels. It is building websites. It is, you know, acquiring knowledge. So it's skill stacking, right? So I like that you really mentioned that, because people need to hear that. So something I want to know, Dennis, is, you know, you had leadership roles at Yahoo, American Airlines. What are some of the skills that you literally took away from like working at those big, you know, type of places?
The biggest one is learning how to be a manager. And this is something I have scoured everywhere, up and down. I've read books, and I haven't found, well, the first 10 years, I couldn't find any books on how to be, like, literally go into Amazon or go to a bookstore and find a book on how to become a good manager, or go to YouTube and go look around how to become a, you know, first-time manager, whatever it is, right? How do you be a manager? And I thought, how could this be? Why isn't that the case? Have you guys have any recommendations on how to be a good manager, how to manage people and how to hire them and how to?
Not really. You know? I feel like you just got to get your hands dirty and learn, you know, like you can read a lot of books on it and gives you like some tips, but man, you got to get your hands dirty, you know?
That's one thing I would even admit that, you know, I need a lot of work on, just how to manage people. And I know I'll get there at one point. So, but yeah, it's definitely tricky.
It's just like learning how to drive stick.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You never want to, if you buy a new car, you don't want to learn to drive stick on that car, because you're going to grind the gears and it's bad. Okay.
We're out the clutch.
Grind them till you find them. You want to practice on a rental car or practice on a junker. Right. And if you're a manager, by the way, if you're an entrepreneur, you're a manager, whether you know it or not. Just like if you have a baby, you're a parent, whether you know how to parent or not, you're now a parent. Okay.
You're managing the kid.
If you're an entrepreneur, you're a manager. Sorry. Right? Because you have to coordinate between other people. Yes, you're your own boss, but now you have more clients. Instead of just one boss, you have many bosses, all these things. So when you have someone who's really good at one thing, they're a personal trainer, and they're really good at that. They're an accountant. They're whatever it is they do. They're really good at that one thing. And then they decide that they're going to do a business and they fail. It's because they don't know how to manage. They don't know how to delegate to other people. They don't know how to train them. They don't know how to balance between the different areas of business, which is different if you're just a consultant or just an employee. It's just you. But what if you have a team you have to coordinate between now? And some things you shouldn't do because someone else should do it, or they do it wrong and you don't know how to handle that, or you're dealing with the client that has multiple people and then you have multiple people. So now your multiple people have to deal with their multiple people. Good luck trying to balance that if you don't know how to manage, right? And so I learned this, I think, Chris, like you said, through OJT, on the job training. And I had mentors that taught me. Al Casey, who is the CEO of American Airlines, he had a lot of employees. And prior to that, he was the Postmaster General, so he had 300,000 employees. So he knows a little something about managing if you had 300,000 employees.
Yeah.
Can I tell you a story?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
So I would ask dumb questions because, well, first off, if you're dumb, you don't even know if it's a dumb question. You just ask.
You're curious.
So, I mean, you don't know. I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. You have no idea if it's a good question or not. You're just asking. So I knew that he had 300,000 employees. And if you're the guy in charge of the post office, what kinds of things do you think he does? Does he decide how many white trucks to buy? Does he decide the price of the stamp? You know, what is the stamp now? 40 cents or 40, whatever the price is, right? Of a stamp, right? Do you even know?
I don't know.
Like 50 cents maybe?
Is it 50 cents now?
Something
Wow.
like
Do you
that.
remember when it was like 20 cents or 25 cents?
Yeah, like usually it was a quarter.
Yeah. And then every year it would go up by like a penny or something like that, right? Or sometimes nothing. And sometimes it'd go up by 2 pennies. Like, how do you think they determine stuff like that?
I have no idea.
Or how did they determine like where they put post offices and how much to charge for packages and how many people to hire and how do you train all the people and who designs the uniforms? And like, just, there's so many things with the post office, right?
Yeah.
And then you got to go to the government and ask for money. And then you got to compete against UPS and FedEx. And so I would ask him, I said, so Al, you have this whole thing going on with delivering mail for the whole United States. And you have all these employees. And if you have 300,000 employees, it's not like you could just invite them to a Zoom call and talk to each one of them. So you have managers that have managers and managers of managers of managers of managers. Do you know what the average number of layers is in a company of that size or an organization of that size?
Mm-mm.
How many managers of managers are there? How many levels? If you take the very bottom person and then you look at their boss and their boss's boss, and like how many levels between the CEO and the person at the bottom? You know, on average, how many?
I'd say
I would say
10?
several.
16.
Jeez.
Yeah, I guess 10.
16. So this guy sitting at the top, you have to count down 16 to get to the person at the bottom.
Wow.
You know what that means? This will blow your mind. That means if there's the person at the bottom who's an employee doing whatever they're doing, you know, the mailroom or something, and then there's a CEO at the top. If there's 16 layers, that means there's 14 managers in the middle. That means there's managers reporting to managers to managers. So if you're some manager in the very, very middle, then you have 7 managers above you, 8 managers above you, and 8 managers below you. So you're managing managers and there's managers that are managing your managers. How the hell do you balance that? Can you imagine what kind of chaos that must be?
Jeez.
Because if you have 300,000 people, so there's something called a span of control. Have you heard of span of control?
No.
So there's this guy named Ronald Coase, and he won a Nobel Prize for it. And he's from the London School of Economics, of course. And he created something called the theory of the firm. And the theory of the firm says, how big does a company need to be? How big should a company be to be at maximum efficiency? So certain industries like running a nuclear power plant probably can't do that off of one employee. Probably takes a lot of people to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Versus a hot dog stand, yeah, you could probably do that off of one person. But what if you had 100 people assigned to running one hot dog stand? Probably not very efficient, right?
Nope.
But in running a nuclear power plant, you might need 500 or 1,000 people to run that, right? So then what is it that governs the ideal size of a company, and therefore the number of people you need to operate it most efficiently? And then you break that company down into operating units, into how big the individual teams are that then eventually roll up and comprise the company, right? So he won a Nobel Prize over this because he found that, have you guys heard, like, what's the answer to the universe? You know the number, right?
Nope.
Heard that? 42? You've not heard that?
Nope.
Okay.
School us.
Doug Coupland, that kind of thing. So here's what span of control is. And any entrepreneur that's listening, this will help you think about when do you hire and how many people do you hire and how do you organize so that you can work on your business instead of in your business, E-myth, right? The average number of people that one person can manage, how many?
3.
5.
3. So 2 or 3 is what you're going to have in very technical roles like cancer research. You have one researcher that might manage 1 or 2 other researchers because the work is so tight and so coordinated that you can't manage 50 cancer researchers because they're all working on so many things that have to tie together in a certain way. Same thing with like software development. You can only have a couple people that you're working with very tightly on a piece of code, right? Otherwise you have this wheelbarrow race, whatever, like the 3-legged race thing, it's very hard to coordinate. Mm-hmm. Versus like in a call center, how many people can one manager probably manage?
I'd say several. 15 to 20. 15 to 20.
15 to 20. Yeah. So the average span of control that most people can do is 6. So on average, one manager can manage 6 people. Why? Because once you go up to 10 people or 20 people, that's more people. You don't have enough time. So if one manager is trying to manage 20 people, they're just not going to be able to keep on top of all the stuff that's happening. So if you know that the span of control, depending on how complex the work is, the more homogeneous the work is, like in a call center, the more people you can have on the span of control. But typically the answer is 6. So what happens if you have one manager on your team and you have 6 people working for that one manager, and then you hire someone else and now there's 7 and you put 7 on that person who really should handle 6? What happens?
Chaos.
Yeah, because it ruins the thing because there's not enough time to manage everybody. And then you have a squeaky wheel problem because one person has a problem and then the other people don't get attention because the one person causes a problem. So then what you have to do is hire another manager, right?
Yep.
And now you have 2 managers and you have, 3 people on one and 4 people on another, right? So you just keep adding. As you add people, once a manager's maxed out at 6, you have to hire another manager, right?
Yeah. So it's just like keep adding layers.
Yeah. So then once you're at 36 people, 6 groups of 6. So you have 6 groups of 6. So that's 36 line level employees and 6 managers, right? The 6 managers are each managing 6 people. So that's 42 people, right? You see that math?
Yeah.
That's where the 42 comes from. Now, what happens when you have those 42 people and you hire one more, literally just one more line level person at the bottom? What happens to this?
Got me stumped.
Well, think about it. You have 6 managers and each of the managers has 6. I know it's like a math problem and I'm not doing this to try to like math you out. I want you to understand. If each of these 6 managers has 6 people, each of those managers is already maxed out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we said 6 is, temporarily you could like work harder, but it's not sustainable. But now you hire one more person, but you can't add that extra person to anyone there because they're already maxed out, right?
Right.
So you have to hire another 6.
To hire what?
You said you have to hire another 6, right? Because each manager manages 6 people.
So now you need to hire another manager.
Right.
So then you have 7 managers and it goes 6, 6, 6, 6, 6 all the way across and then that one employee. So you had to hire another employee or hire another manager to take care of that one employee.
Yep.
But now the boss, so before this, there was you and you had 6 managers because you can't manage more than 6 people. And each of those 6 people has 6 people. But the minute you add one more, now you have 7 managers to manage and it's broken. So now you need a manager of a manager of a manager. And that's where organizations break. The minute you get to becoming a manager of a manager is where they break. Like it's hard to manage, like, okay, managing 6 people. Yes, that's tough. When you're used to doing stuff all by yourself, you have to learn how to be a manager. Mm-hmm. But how about trying to manage a manager? And each of those managers has people. How complex is that? What do you need to do to be able to do that and not screw it up?
Exactly.
Then what happens, like I mentioned, when you get to that extra person, number 43, now all of a sudden you're managing a manager who has a manager that's managing people. Now you're managing managers who are managing managers. How likely is that going to work unless you know what you're doing?
Yeah, it's going to be tough.
Complex.
And so that's where organizations fall apart. And that's where Ronald Coase won a Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
On the theory.
So you're more of a fan of a smaller team.
I am. And Jeff Bezos, who's the founder of Amazon, he created something he called the 2 pizza rule. Now, Amazon is arguably the largest company on the planet now, right? them and Apple and Facebook and Microsoft are all they're called the four horsemen because each of them is $1 trillion company. The only other company that's in that range is Aramco, which just went public, which is the Saudi Arabian oil company that was owned by the government, but still is kind of owned by the government.
Yeah.
But outside of that, it's really the four biggest companies are all tech companies. So Jeff Bezos, he has, who knows, 120,000 employees, something like, he has a lot of employees, right?
Yeah.
He has more than 42 employees for sure. In any one of his distribution centers, it's hundreds of employees. So given that we know that teams need to be small in order to work, how is he able to get this to work? I mean, it doesn't seem like the fact that he has hundreds of thousands of employees or the post office has more than 42 employees, doesn't it seem like that breaks the model?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But here's how they do it. So Jeff Bezos came up with something called the 2 pizza rule. Have you heard of the 2 pizza rule?
Nope.
So if you are building software and you're in charge of the Amazon Alexa, well, I don't want to say that because then she's going to wake up. It's on the shelf behind me. Or you're in charge of like some feature, right? As part of Amazon's thing, then he says the team size, the team that's working on that feature or that project cannot be bigger than what can be fed by 2 pizzas. If the team gets bigger than that, then we need to break off into another team, right? Because the minute you have a team with 40, 50 people, then you have something that's called the tragedy of the commons, where people start littering, they don't refill the coffee machine's broken. It's like in a big city where there's lots of crime because it feels kind of anonymous. It doesn't feel like your city. But if it's just a small group, then you're not going to litter. You're not going to, you're going to take care of the place because it's just a few of you, right? It's not a public toilet basically, right? So the idea of having teams be big enough that they can get stuff done, but not so big that it creates this tragedy of the commons, then that's actually the key to team building.
Yeah.
And I look at that in terms of how we build teams. I want to have ownership. You ever been in a group project in college?
Yep.
Yeah.
What typically happens when you have 5 or 6 people in a group project?
You got everybody wanting to be almost like the manager in a sense.
And then you have something called a free rider, also known as a freeloader.
Yep.
Right? And who's that?
Yep.
In every group project, there's always a freeloader, isn't there?
Sits back, says he's going to take notes, but he doesn't.
So why is that?
I don't know. Personality. I mean, what would you say?
Lack of just entrepreneurial or just like management, just leadership characteristics.
Now, what if you have a group project and it's 30 people and you all get the same grade? Do you really care? I mean, there's 30 other people on it.
No.
Your part doesn't really matter, right? What if there's 100 people on a group project?
Yeah, it's
like you don't even care, right? Because like, okay, whatever profit the company makes, we're going to divide by 100 and you get a little piece of it. Yeah, okay, whatever. I'm just going to freeload because, it's just like people going to dinner and they split the check. You get a whole bunch of people at dinner. So everyone orders the fancy stuff because they know that their part of it's going to be so small. You're not going to order the cheapest thing at a group dinner if you're splitting the check, right?
Exactly.
Right.
And then you have that problem where they don't get tips, which is why the restaurants force the tip. Like they force 15% tip or whatever it is, because they know of the free rider effect.
Yeah.
So in order to get buy-in, if your team is just 2 people like Eric and Chris, then you're not going to get a free rider effect. It's literally called the free rider effect if you study it in economics.
Yeah. That's
I'm always cognizant of that.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And Dennis, so I want to move on to BlitzMetrics, your business, right? So after you had so much success with Yahoo and American Airlines, like what made you have this epiphany and just be like, okay, I want to go do my own thing and just build my own business?
Because the thing that matters to me, the thing that has given me success is mentorship. It's other people creating opportunities and training me and teaching me things that I couldn't get out of books. There's things that you can do by watching YouTube videos and you get pretty far doing that.
Oh yeah.
But you need hands-on experience. You need other people to open doors for you. You need to understand the relationship side. And I thought this kid who at 21 wanted to work for Nike and did everything right according to the book and the scores and the exams, couldn't even get a freaking job interview. Well, why not? Because I didn't have a coach. I didn't have mentoring. I didn't have someone else to tap me on the shoulder and say, hey, there's something you're missing here that you really didn't notice, but you need to do this other thing, right? And you're just working harder is not going to overcome this thing you're missing in your blind spot.
Yep.
And I thought, well, it's kind of selfish of me to have people like the CEO of American Airlines mentor me And for me to get all these advantages, and then people want to interview me on podcasts and whatnot, and like I'm some sort of God know-it-all spouting knowledge. Everything I have is because a mentor did it for me. A mentor, I had to work hard, of course, but a mentor has opened the door. Everything I've ever had that's good has been because a mentor opened the door for me. I didn't earn anything. It's like cheating. In school, they teach you that's cheating. In school, you're not allowed to ask other people for help because you're supposed to do the exam by yourself without looking at the book. Or are you kidding? Life is an open book test.
Exactly.
You absolutely can help other people. It's not called cheating. Like if I'm playing basketball and I want to win, I'm going to get all the very best people onto my team and I'm going to trounce everyone else.
Exactly.
Who's to say I have to pick people that are short? I have to pick people. No, I can pick anyone I want on my team. I want to win.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So BlitzMetrics is about the idea that there is the training and all that, and you do have to put in the work, but there's mentorship, which makes it a little easier for you to be able to start your business, for you to be able to learn digital marketing, for you to be able to get clients. We have 100,000 businesses that want to hire students and even not so young adults that are certified in our digital marketing training. That's what we did with Jake Paul, right? Financial Freedom Movement is training up all these young adults that are influencers, that are good social media, and setting them loose in their community to record videos on behalf of these small business owners and be able to boost them for $1 a day and build websites and do Instagram and all that kind of stuff, which these business owners, I'm stereotyping, don't understand the first thing about.
Yeah.
But the dentist is a good dentist. The real estate agent is a good real estate agent. She's a 55-year-old mom, but she doesn't understand how to put videos on the internet. She doesn't understand how to share her knowledge. She doesn't understand how to edit her stuff and put it on YouTube. She doesn't understand that. And these kids are out of work because how likely do you think California is going to open up the schools in the fall?
Oh, it's not going to happen.
Very unlikely.
Yeah.
Okay. So without that, and then what is the whole slam against college? I'm not saying college is bad, but the whole point of going to college is what? To get a job, right?
Yeah.
So what if we train up these young adults now? Because they're not going back to school this year.
No.
If you're lucky, spring of next year, right? Because this whole coronavirus thing has got everyone, whatever you have to think about coronavirus, they're not opening up the buildings, okay, for quite some time.
Nope.
Maybe in other countries, but not in the States. So we need to educate these people and give them jobs and give them income. So if we train up all the young adults, we can solve two problems at one time. One is we can do what the education system has wanted to do, which is educate these people and give them jobs. Because you can't turn in a diploma for a job, right?
Right.
I have 2 degrees. I went to London School of Economics and SMU. Did that guarantee me a job?
No.
Maybe 20 years ago, but not anymore.
Not now.
So we're helping out these young adults and people who are unemployed who need the training. And then number 2 is we're helping out the small businesses that need the help because they need help with their digital marketing. And this thing with Zoom and going online is not some temporary thing. It's not like, in 3 months, we're going to go back to where we were, but that's not going to happen. Nope. Like this whole having to connect with people online we need to learn how to do now. It's not going away. You got to learn how to use Zoom. You got to learn how to talk to your phone. You got to learn how to make videos. You have to learn how to schedule meetings online. Like that's not going away.
Yeah. There's not going to be
now
any
that
more
people are on it,
corporate office setting.
So what if I'm saying it's what if, but we actually were doing it. But what if we brought supply and demand together, right? I went to the London freaking School of Economics. What do you learn in economics? Supply and demand. So what is demand? All these businesses, these gyms and trainers and chiropractors and restaurants, and these are people who need help. They're demand, right? They're the businesses. What's the supply? The people that are doing the work. The trained, certified digital marketing specialists, the virtual assistants, that's part of the supply side. And so you bring supply and demand together. And when you bring supply and demand together, you have what's called a two-sided network. So you guys know Uber, right? Uber is a two-sided network. You have drivers and you have riders. But do you think the employees at Uber are driving cars?
Probably not.
No. Do you think the employees of Airbnb are the main people renting out their rooms and stuff in their house?
No.
Probably not.
No, but so what they're doing is Uber and Airbnb and DoorDash, they're providing the network that allows the supply and demand to be able to work together so both sides can connect and make money and enable this economy, right? So Airbnb is the largest hotel company on the planet and they have no hotel rooms.
Yeah.
Uber is the largest car sharing, driving whatever taxi company, but they have no cars. And so BlitzMetrics is the world's largest digital marketing agency, but we don't have any clients. because we're building the system that enables the supply and demand to come together.
Yeah.
And that has always been my vision. And thus, what are we? We're the mentorship. We're the software. We're the platform. We are the Uber of marketing, but we also provide training. You know, Uber, if you have a problem, you're a driver for Uber, you had a problem. Is there someone to talk to?
No.
No. What if you want to increase your skills to be able to make more money? What do you do if you're an Uber?
Can't.
Let's say you rent, you have a house and you're renting out your extra bedroom to someone because you need to make some money. Now, what are you going to do to skill up? Who's going to mentor you? How are they going to help you? What if you don't show up for a week because you're depressed or you weren't feeling good? Is someone from Uber or Airbnb going to say, hey, Eric, how are you feeling? I just want to check in on you.
Nope, not at all.
No? Okay.
It's like a big machine.
Where's the mentorship? Are they going to help you set goals? Are they going to help you get skills? Where in America today are people going to learn skills and get jobs now?
Online. Through mentorship.
Online from who?
Mentorship.
So who's building mentorship programs?
Not too many people. BlitzMetrics.
Yep.
We are.
You guys are? Yeah. So we need everyone who's out there that wants to help other people systematize their knowledge.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
Because now that you guys are successful, it's time to give back and train up other people.
Absolutely.
Because you don't have time to take on more clients. And we don't have time to take on more clients, but we have so many folks who want to work with us that we're creating opportunity for the other people that are trained in our system.
Yeah.
It's like a hand-me-down, right? There's folks that come to us and their budget is $1,000 a month. I'm not going to touch that, but there's some young adults that go through our training. $1,000 a month would be very meaningful for them.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. You guys are doing some awesome stuff there with BlitzMetrics.
Oh, yeah.
And something I want to kind of talk about too. I mean, you've been in this game of entrepreneurship for a while now, so
Yeah.
I like to know when I'm interviewing guests like yourselves, like what brings out that dark side in entrepreneurship, and I like using this analogy of the dark side with like Michael Jordan. So did you watch his Last Dance series?
Part of it.
Okay. So plain simple, that guy was relentless. He had a very dark side to him. He was just all about winning, cutthroat, right? Killer instinct. What brings out like that, just that dark side in you, that killer instinct in entrepreneurship where you just like, you'll do anything to win?
Well, you can be blinded if you look at one thing at the expense of the others. It's kind of like left brain and right brain. So you could win, but you could win in a non-graceful way. And for me, I look at optimizing for the long term. I know I told you I just ate an ice cream, which is giving in the short term versus long term. But in general, in business, I optimize for the long term. So I just did a deal today with someone who's very well known in the world of sports. I can't tell you their name yet, and you'll hear about it in a bit. And I could have gotten an extra $50,000 for them if I twisted their arm. But I didn't, because I knew that it would pay out. It would even out in the long run. And I don't think it's because I'm weak. I think it's because I've developed a reputation, because we have a lot of mutual friends, which is why he came to us in the first place, saying, I saw what you did for these other guys. Can you do that for us? And I said, yes, we can. And I told him the price, and his jaw nearly dropped. I said, well, that's the price. But I'll tell you what, if you agree to be my testimonial customer we make videos together with Kevin Durant and Odell Beckham Jr. and Madonna and U2 and the other folks that you're coaching, because you're hanging out with them all day long. And I do a good job. I do a really good job in doing this thing that we're doing. Then you're going to bringing me in close with your network. You do that, I'll give it to you for half the price.
Yeah. And you know what, Dennis, really quick, I don't want to interrupt you, but you did that because of the experience and because you weren't focusing on the first sale. And that's something we always tell our fit pros, stop worrying about the first sale. Start thinking about the lifetime value of the customer. Start thinking about the investment later on with it. So that's what you did exactly.
And really quick, what you're doing is you're giving results in advance.
Yeah. And plus it's also inbound. Now, a lot of people will think, especially if you're a fit pro and you need the money and things are kind of tough, that means you should discount your price. That's not what I'm doing.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is this is what the price would be, but we're going to make it up in a rev share. We're going to make it up because we truly are partners and we're going to do these things together. What you want to avoid is people that are just trying to cut you down on price And those people are always going to be unhappy. The less they pay you, the more they expect.
Yep.
You guys know that, right? So I'm not advocating just charging less. If you do, you need to make a concession, which makes it clear that it's a long-term thing.
Absolutely.
So then once you propose that, then they were just all for it?
Yeah, because you have an alignment. Because we could have just charged them $100,000 a month. But I said, you know, that's what other agencies would do. But first off, you came to us.
Yeah.
I didn't come to you. I'm busy. You came to us, meaning that already, I don't have to establish that we're good at what we do. Because our company has a reputation for doing a good job in digital marketing and driving sales and leads, we don't need to give you a pitch deck. We don't need to spend an hour on the phone and us telling you all about our capabilities. When you go to the hospital, and you have a heart attack or your gunshot wound or whatever, do you say, before you do surgery, I want to make sure that this surgeon knows what he's doing? No, right? It's urgent need, right? Yeah. So if people come to you because of referral, then your customers have done the work for you.
Yep.
And that's always been the case for us. That's why we don't do any marketing, if you will.
Yeah.
Right? We take good care of our customers, which I know is old fashioned. You do good care, take good care, do whatever it takes to make sure you take good care. And then they go tell everybody, and those people come to you, and it's easy to close. It's not like, let me learn these 4 sales tactics on how to create fear, uncertainty, and doubt to try to get them to say yes and scare them into buying by today. Because otherwise, if you're not doing it today, then when are you going to start with your fitness plans?
Right.
You know all the tricks that, like, if you worked at 24 Hour Fitness and you wanted to like sign up somebody and, I'm not saying do that. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, those methods work. I'm not saying, but I am saying if you are someone where it's based on your reputation, it does take a little time, but you're going to find that there's no need to hard sell. There's no uncomfortable moment.
Yeah.
And talking about price, which is the thing that somehow people wait until the very end, we talk about that up front. I even put stuff on the website where people see what we charge. Why? Because they're going to know anyway. And if they're going to balk at the price, let them do that on their own time versus me giving them an hour of free consulting and then later they find out how much it is. That's like 14-year-olds coming in the Rolls-Royce dealership. I'm not going to give them free test drives and all that. Later they find out they can't afford a ghost. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Here's
I like
the price.
that. Yeah.
You
I
want
like
to do a
that.
test drive? Okay, here's the price. Do we want to continue? Okay, yes. Okay, so I know that you could afford that price. Okay.
Yeah. No, I like that. That's such a great teaching point just right here for the listeners. So guys, if you guys are listening, just please remember what Dennis said about just go above and beyond for your customers, go the extra mile, and the work will do itself. The referrals, the marketing will do itself. So I love that.
Yeah.
So Dennis, let's shift gears here. So I want to know more about like your personal day-to-day life. I mean, this is called the Dynamic Lifestyle Podcast. Chris and I are weird guys about just like people's lifestyle. So tell us, like, what do you do from when you wake up till bedtime? Take us through a day.
Well, I wake up whenever I wake up.
Okay.
And normally I don't wake up with an alarm clock. I used to, because I don't like the idea of the brain being jarred up. It's like hard rebooting on a computer. I think years and years of that will hurt you. I try to do the best I can to get as much sleep as I can. So I don't schedule meetings in the morning because I'm a night owl. I know that's when my strength is. I like to, but don't always exercise and plan in the morning because that's when I'm fresh. That's when I can figure out what I want to do for the day. And I start off with 3 things that I want to get done. And if I know I get those 3 things done, I can drop everything else and still be okay. Because what I used to do, and sometimes still gets me, is that I will get so distracted with all these things that are busy and urgent, but actually aren't important, that at the end of the day, I know I've worked really hard and I've been in a lot of meetings and I feel like I've, done a lot of stuff, but I look at it, I didn't really make an impact. And I wonder like where all the time went because I didn't achieve those important things. So if you don't start your day with those important things, they're never going to get done. And you'll just end up day to day and having that thing. You ever have that thing where it's that important thing to get done, but you've kind of pushed it off and you keep pushing it off. Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. I'm tired today. Or you keep pushing off that one thing. And the more you push it off, the more power that thing has over you.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yeah.
So that's why it's literally this simple. And even to this day, even though I'm a practitioner and I'm trying to give you advice on this thing, anyone that's listening, I still forget to do that because I'll wake up and I'm like, oh, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do that. And then I check my email and then pretty soon you're on social media. You've wasted another couple hours. You've opened up 30 tabs on Chrome. I'm just going to watch this one YouTube video real quick. And then pretty soon it's 2 hours later and like you're smiling because it's true.
Yeah.
And
Guilty.
then you're like, dang it, yes, but it was so entertaining. And then you like rationalize why that was actually worthwhile. You're wasting time. Don't spend time on social media.
Yeah.
Write your goals down, get them done, eat your meat and vegetables, and then you can have ice cream.
Yeah. There you go.
If you do that, you don't even need to listen to all the self-help, structure your time, David Allen, GTD, like you don't even need to do that. Just do that one thing.
Yeah. And then you said towards the evening and night, that's more of like your work time where you're just being really productive because you're a night owl.
Yeah. Well, during the day, I can't be productive because it's meetings and people are hitting me up. And I'm basically a 911 operator / surgeon where people come to me with their emergency. So I have to drop what I'm doing 100 times per day.
Yeah.
Right?
So what's like that deep work of like the time block, like at night that you work?
Usually from say like 10 p.m. to 2 a.m.
Okay.
Because people are less likely to bother me.
Yeah.
And thus when there's things that really require me to think, like building software, writing requirements, recording long form video. So if you watch the videos that I've made, most of them are midnight. I'm like a vampire because that's when I can get into what's called cruise altitude.
Yeah.
So if you remember the last time you're on a plane, when you take off on the runway, there's all this, full thrust on the engines and it goes up and it's scary, but you're only going maybe 170 knots. You're not going very fast at takeoff. And then you get all the way up to cruise altitude, 40,000 feet. It might take you 15, 20 minutes to get up to cruise altitude, right? And then it's just nice and smooth and quiet. You're moving at 0.89 Mach. You're moving at 590 miles per hour. But it feels effortless. And the plane's barely even using fuel. It's just sipping fuel. Now, what happens when you're at cruise altitude and you're super efficient, you're in the zone, and the phone rings, or someone comes and bothers you, or whatever, you get auto distracted. Then you instantly, bam, back down on the runway. You have to take off again, another 15, 20 minutes, get up to cruise altitude.
Yep.
And it's the same with any kind of interruption where you have to, like you lost track of where you were. If you're in the middle of something deep that you were planning and thinking, and someone distracts you, all the research, it's not me telling you this. There's research. In fact, you could look at, there's something called the Mythical Man Month, which is on how the cost of interruption to software engineers. And this is also, you can Google it. It's called context switching cost, which is if you're interrupted and you have to get back to where you were, how much cost is it really? And people are like, oh, it's just a minute. I just needed this one thing from you real quick.
No.
But is that one thing really just like technically, like for them, it was convenient, but what was the actual cost on you? The cost you would not believe, on average, it's about an hour to get back into your zone of where you were. Because you won't remember where exactly was I, and you lost your train of thought. Another way to think about it is, let's say that Eric and Chris and everyone else here, you wanted to do something, let's say two things. Like you wanted to eat a bowl of cereal, okay? And you also wanted to mow your front lawn, a normal sized lawn, not a big lawn. How long do you think it would take to do each of those, just on average?
The lawn, maybe like 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
The bowl of cereal, I eat so fast, like maybe like 3 to 5 minutes. No, not even 2 to 3 minutes.
So let's say 15 minutes plus 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So in total, 20 minutes. And then you have to walk from the garage to the house and you have to pour your cereal. So let's say another couple minutes. Let's say 5 minutes for that. So 25 minutes, right?
Yep.
All right.
Okay.
And then you're going to, now imagine though, that you believe, which is erroneous, but you believe, I can multitask. By the way, the brain can't multitask. It's physically impossible to multitask. And the people who swear they can, they're the most idiotic of them all. So you say, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to run the lawnmower for one length, stop, go inside, and have one spoon of cereal. Then run back outside, mow another length, stop, turn the thing off, run back inside, dip the spoon in, have one more bite, stick it back in, run back outside, mow one more length. How long do you think so we said it'd take 25 minutes if we just did one thing at a time, right?
Yeah.
How long do you think it would take if we did it this way where we switch back and forth?
Double.
Easily.
Double?
Yeah, I would say even triple.
More than that.
Yeah.
Because how much time is in between going back and forth between your house and the
That's
lawn
true.
and starting up the lawnmower again and like
Yeah. A couple
now the
minutes.
cereal is soggy, so it's harder to
Pour another bowl.
Yeah. It literally will take you 10 times longer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because while you're doing it, the dog comes up and wants to be pet. Someone else says, hey, in the neighborhood, Now you're getting thirsty because it's like 3 hours into it. So you need to make yourself a drink. And, oh, now it's time you forgot you need to go work out. And you pretty soon you've lost the entire day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because all these other things happen. So the longer it takes to get something done, the more other things called complications come in. So it's like my mom had a hysterectomy 2 days ago, which is a big surgery.
Yeah.
You remove a whole bunch of things, and you don't want that surgery to take a long time. It normally takes 2 to 3 hours. But if something bad happens, then it could take 5 to 7 hours even, right? So technically you could say if it took 5 to 7 hours, then we're getting a better deal on the surgeon because the cost per hour of the surgeon is now like half the price, right? But it's actually bad because the longer the patient is under, right, the more problems you're going to have. The longer the wound is held open, the more problems you're going to have. The longer it takes and do you have any projects where they've taken weeks and weeks or it was something that happened a few weeks ago and you kind of forgot what happened? Like maybe you had this meeting with someone, you're going to do something for them, their client, but now it's a month later and you forgot what it is you talked about, right?
Yeah.
Versus you just had that meeting, it's fresh in your mind, and you work on it right then, you just knock it out in like 10 minutes. Whatever that thing was, you said you're going to reply with this one thing, and you reply with it versus like, what was that one thing that Chris wanted?
Yeah.
Oh, I need to call him up and then ask him again. And then by then he's like, yeah, I don't remember what it was. I guess it was important. Or, oh, you know what? I was going to hire you guys, but I hired someone else because, it's already been a month. And so the speed, have you guys heard slow is smooth and smooth is fast?
Slow is smooth and say that again?
And smooth is fast.
Okay. Never heard of that.
So a lot of people I know where they think like, let's act right away. Let's go, bam, let's just jump in. And if you look up on YouTube, there's something called Leroy Jenkins, right?
Okay.
People jump in without any planning. So the idea of slow is smooth is that when you do things carefully, you don't make mistakes. So you don't hurry. Like you'll see, I don't hurry, but I'm also really quick.
Yeah.
And when you do things right, you don't have to keep redoing them and making mistakes and all that.
Absolutely.
It ends up being faster. And that's one of the biggest mistakes I see in entrepreneurship is that people mistake speed of movement with impact or results.
Yeah. That's some interesting stuff, Dennis. It really is, man. I can't wait to go back and listen to all this stuff because you're dropping some dense stuff to where it's just like, I got to take some notes myself. But Dennis, we're coming to end on this podcast. And before I ask the last question, I just want to commend you and just say, thank you for just everything you've done. You're an inspiration, man. You really are. I know we met a couple of times at Mark's events and you've always been super humble, which I really, really respect, for the stature that you're at and everything you've accomplished. So I appreciate that. And you just have a good heart and a good vision on what you want to do with mentorship and helping people out. So I commend you on that.
Thank you guys. It's an honor. I know we've been trying to do this for quite some time. So thanks for making the time.
Yeah. I echo everything he said.
So Dennis, what does it mean to you to live a dynamic lifestyle?
It means living in the moment, but also not being YOLO. A dynamic life is one where you do have the structure of the goals that you want, but you leave enough room to be able to improvise and allow for things that happen. So it's counterintuitive, the idea that you have freedom. But in order to have freedom to do what you want, when opportunities come, you want to have enough room to be able to do something because an opportunity happens. In order to have the freedom, you have to have enough structure to be able to squeeze away and push aside all the repetitive stuff to open up room for you if you need time. Just like if you're a cook in the kitchen and let's say you're really creative and you want to make all these new kinds of dishes, how creative can you be if your kitchen is cluttered and the dishes are dirty and moldy and stuff's all over the place and not organized?
Yep.
So if you want to be creative, you have to have everything organized first. And then you have the table clean, you have the mise en place, everything is organized so that whatever you want to make, your creativity is open and you're not having to worry about where to find stuff or did the chicken go bad, right? And I think a dynamic lifestyle is a yin yang where you have enough structure to delegate away the things that you don't want to have to worry about so you can focus on the things that are important and have the freedom. And most people see people who are successful who have that freedom and they don't see the work behind the scenes to get the structure in place to open up the time to be able to, my friend John Jonas started onlinejobs.ph. That guy's making buku dollars. right? And the guy literally only works an hour or two a day because he's making so much money because he's got 1 million Filipinos on his platform for virtual assistants. Incredible. A white guy. He's not even a Filipino. He's like as white as you can get, right? I think he's only been to the Philippines like once or twice. Like, what? How the heck are you like the guy who built onlinejobs.ph? I cannot believe I'm hanging out at his mansion. He's got a big house. He doesn't put it on the internet because I think he'd get a lot of hate because his VAs make like $400 a month. And if they saw that he lived that kind of life, wow. But he has a dynamic lifestyle. He's got his 5 children. He spends plenty of time with them. He's doing all the things that he wants. He literally is living the lifestyle that everyone would like to have, right? But he got there because he put processes in place and he worked very hard for many years. And he didn't have, like, it took him 10 years to get to the point where he has everything that he has.
Yeah.
That's what people don't appreciate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's an awesome story.
Yeah. Love that. Great stuff on how to live a dynamic lifestyle. So Dennis, what can we support you with right now? And where can the listeners find more information about all the good things you're doing?
I've taken everything that I've learned, all the processes, all the mistakes, all the pain, and documented it. And all of my presentations, all of the sales training, all of the stuff on how we hire, all the statements of work, all the planning, all the stuff on how we do what we do is put into this document that I call the master presentation. And it's 1,200 pages, chock full of all sorts of things, anything that you would ever want to do. You want a proposal, you want to do your logo, you want to do, build a website, it's all there. And we update the thing daily. And it's the sum of all of our presentations and training. It's the heart of everything that I know. And I put it at themasterpresentation.com. And if you guys want to look at what 20 years plus of mistakes looks like, that's what that is.
Incredible.
Incredible.
It's the DNA of how I operate and what I've learned from my mentors, all packaged into a system.
Love it. And then what about social? Can people follow you on a particular social media platform?
Look for me on LinkedIn.
All right, let's do it.
Google me.
Yeah. Oh, you'll see plenty of that come up. So guys, make sure you guys go follow Dennis Yu, all the cool stuff he's doing. Once again, Dennis, thank you so much for your time, your wisdom, and just everything you're doing to just change the world, man.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Dennis.
Eric and Chris. You guys rock.
All right, guys, until next time.
Hey, thank you so much for watching this video and another episode on pro tips on living a dynamic lifestyle. We truly appreciate it. Hopefully you got a lot of value out of it. If you're interested in getting more value like this from these pro tips, make sure to subscribe above. We're going to be dropping these daily. Also, if you are a fitness professional and you're looking to create more income, impact, influence, and independence, we just dropped our new book, Rise of the Fit Pros, so you guys can do all of that. And you can also start building your hybrid training model of in-person and online training. So make sure to click the link or the book right here to grab your guys' copy, and we'll send it over to you. Other than that, we're out. Talk to you soon.